Hello all, I'm Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. We currently have 7 days remaining in the month of May, and I still need to read 5 books from my May TBR. So in this vlog, we are going to be tackling these books one at a time and attempting to finish all of them before the end of the month so that when I play my next round of Bookopoly, I will not have to draw a punishment. But we'll see how it goes. Let me go ahead and take you through what I still have remaining, and then we are just going to get reading and see what I can actually get completed. So the first book that I have not finished from my May TBR is Lost and Lassoed by Lassoed. This is book 3 in the Rebel Blue Ranch. I have started it. I am 50% of the way through it, and I will be finishing this one today. These are interconnected cowboy romance standalones that feature the same characters. We are following the oldest brother of the Ryder family and his nemesis, enemy, whatever we want to call her, Teddy, who is his little sister's best friend. And they have a hate to love relationship currently in the process of blooming. So that is the first one. It's what I'm going to finish first because I am halfway through it. Then I need to read The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark. Not only is this on my May TBR, but this is the Literally Dead book club book for May, and the live show is this weekend. So I would like to get this read so that I can participate in the live show. Next up was a seasonal read, and I chose Peach Blossom Spring. Now I have started this, but I started it last year. I do still remember a decent amount of this though, so I do not think I'm going to have to completely restart it, which is helpful, but I still have like 300 pages left of it. Okay, I might be exaggerating. 200 pages maybe? Let's see. No, almost 300 pages left to read, so that one needs to get finished. Then I have my buzzword pick for May, which is The Shoemaker's Wife by Adriana Trigiani. This one is fairly long and I haven't started it. I do really want to read this one though. I'm really looking forward to it. I've liked this author's work before, but this baby comes in over 400 pages, so we will see. And then the final book that I need to read is probably the easiest one, and that is the 47th Nancy Drew book, The Mysterious Mannequin. So those are the 5 books that I still need to read before the end of May, or I'm going to have to draw a challenge prompt in my next round of Bookopoly, which I would prefer not to do, obviously. Now, on top of those, I am also making my way through Our Women on the Ground. This is edited by Zara Hankir, and these are a collection of essays written by Arab women who work as journalists in Arab countries. I have started this one, and my goal is just to read 2 essays per day to finish this one off before the end of the month. So this one should get done, but I don't know how much of this I will actually be talking about in the vlog because the focus is obviously these 3 and the other 2 that I've already mentioned, and that's quite a lot of books already to talk about in one vlog. So without further ado, I'm going to turn my attention back to Lost and Lassoed and hopefully get this one done within the next few hours so that I can move on and start making a dent in some of these larger books. So once this one is finished, I will give you full thoughts, and we're just going to take this one day at a time and see how much I can get read over the next 7 days. All right, all, it is day 2, and I have finished my first book, which was Lost and Lassoed by Lassoed. I'm going to give this 4 stars. I feel like this series has gotten better written as the books have gone on. I really didn't think book 1, which is Done and Dusted, was particularly well written, although I did have a good time with it. I'm not expecting like a ton in terms of the writing because these are basically palate cleanser cowboy romances, but I do feel like you could tell that that was perhaps her first book, and they have gotten better written as the series has gone on. This was another solid book. I'm giving it 4 stars. I had a really good time with this. We are following Gus and Teddy. I enjoyed both of their narrations, both of the characters. I really like the setting of these books, which is a small town in Wyoming, and the ranch that the family owns. Gus is the oldest brother. We have seen him in both of the previous books, obviously. We've also seen Teddy in the previous books. This is your very typical hate to love type story. They are kind of forced together by a set of circumstances, and a relationship develops, first friendship, and then more. And I did really enjoy it. The banter is very good between the two of them, so if you're someone that likes banter, her writing does a great job of that. I liked getting a look at the other characters that we'd met in the previous book. This one was perhaps a little bit more deep in terms of what the characters are going through, their internal monologues. Teddy is dealing with a father who has bad health, and he is a single father. He raised her from the time she was born, basically. And then Gus feels a lot of responsibility, being the oldest brother and the one that the ranch is going to fall to once his father decides to pass it on. So they both have a lot going on in their internal monologues, and I just felt like overall it was a very good story. So if you are looking for palate cleanser cowboy romances, this is a good one. I also like that they're short and bonus points. So far in the series, we have not yet had a third act breakup. So that definitely gets a thumbs up from me. I really get tired of that trope. So glad I gave this one a read, very quick read. And this is a book off of my May TBR, and it helped me make progress in a series because now I only have one left in this series. So that is also a bonus. So this one's done. Today I am going to be bouncing between a few things. I have started the audio for the ending rights itself. I am only about 15% of the way through, but I have some chores and things to do today. I have to put away some laundry. I need to sweep the cat's room where their litter boxes are because there's litter everywhere. So I need to clean that up so I can listen to more of the audio while I do that. But my main focus for today is actually going to be the Mysterious Mannequin, which is the 47th Nancy Drew book, because I am way behind on reading the Nancy Drews, and I want to finish the original 56 books this year. So I have quite a few books left to read in order to achieve that goal, and we're almost halfway through the year. So I want to go ahead and tackle that one today. I'll be reading that one with my eyeballs because I read it on my computer. You can borrow them from the Internet Archive. So that is how I'm going to be reading it, and then also be listening to more of the ending rights itself. I'm also going to read a few more essays from Our Women on the Ground because, as I've mentioned, I want to get this one done as well before the end of the month. I did tab each of the essays, so I'm thinking I will hopefully do just 2, I think, today, because that will finish the first section. So let me kind of show you what I'm talking about. This book is divided into, is it 4 parts, 3 parts? Let me look. 5 parts, actually. So Remembrances is the one that I am on right now. There are 4 essays in that section. Then we have Crossfire, Resilience, Exile, and Transition. So I'll just kind of give you a look if you want to pause and take a look at it. This is kind of the first part, and then there is the second part. So I have tabbed that out, but yeah, I would like to finish that first section today. I've read the first 2. Enjoyed them. I mean, they have a lot to say, obviously very thought-provoking writing, and it's also given me a couple things to kind of look into. So I have put little Post-its in here where I kind of just write down the themes, the things that struck me about the essay, and then perhaps things that I want to look up and read more about, and then just some general thoughts. So that's kind of what I'm doing with those. I am highlighting a little bit as well if something strikes me as a particularly good quote, but I would like to read the 3rd and 4th essay. The 3rd one is called What Normal, and that one is by Hueda Saeed, I think. I don't know really how to pronounce it, so apologies. So that one is the 3rd one, and then the 4th one is called On a Belated Encounter with Gender, and that one is by Lena Atala. So those will be the 2 that I can hopefully get read today, and then move on to the second section tomorrow. So that's kind of my goal. But yes, I will obviously keep you apprised as I go through. But the book that I'm going to finish in its entirety, hopefully, is The Mysterious Mannequin, the 47th Nancy Drew book. So let me go ahead and stop talking and get reading so we can check that one off the list. Okay, all, it is day 3, and I have finished the 47th Nancy Drew book, which is The Mysterious Mannequin. This isn't anything spectacular, very few of these books actually are, but this one was a decent time. I had the mystery sorted like pretty early on, so there was not any like surprises, but decently written considering that this is a book that deals with people of another culture. Those can go bad very quickly. I've actually DNF'd like a handful of them because they were just so poorly done. This one requires Nancy and company to travel to Turkey. They are looking for a man who Carson Drew, Nancy's father, was a lawyer for, but he disappeared under not really mysterious circumstances. He just left one day. He was afraid that he was going to be arrested in the United States because his rug company had some things going on with it that turned out to not be true, so he was acquitted and everything, but he left because of like the shame that this would cause his family, etc. So anyway, Nancy is tasked with locating a mysterious mannequin, hence the title, and it takes them to Turkey. So as I said, decent mystery. These aren't really anything to talk about in great depth. One thing I did find kind of amusing in this book though was that apparently, who knew, River Heights has a bustling Greek and Turkish area of town. Who knew, right? So anyway, that was kind of something that made me laugh. But anyway, 3 stars for this is not anything great, but it is another one read. I am still quite behind though, so I do still need to read a bunch of them over the course of the next month so that I can kind of get back on track, because as I mentioned, there's 56 original and I am only on 47 and I want to get them done this year. So anyway, that one's done, 3 stars. I also listened to 10% more of The Ending Writes Itself. I wouldn't say that I am particularly enamored with this one as of yet. One thing made me laugh out loud. So we are following a group of people who have been tasked with finishing an author's final book in like a series that is a bestseller. And they are each authors of a different genre. So we have like thriller, horror, crime. I guess crime and thriller kind of go together in this case. What else? We have a romance, we have a sci-fi writer, and then we have like a debut writer. And we're not really sure, I don't think it's really been said what her genre of choice is, but anyway, they all write in different genres. And the book is a detective mystery series. So one of the characters makes a comment about how, oh, and there's a YA series. I almost forgot because that's like what made me laugh. So someone makes a comment internally, they don't say it out loud, about how something along the lines of she's probably putting in a lot of breaths they didn't know they were holding, which made me literally laugh out loud because that is something that pops up so frequently in YA books that it just kind of made me laugh. It was very tongue-in-cheek because obviously V.E. Schwab writes YA and adult, so I mean, she was kind of making fun of herself there. I have never read anything by Kat Clark, but does she also do YA? I don't know. But anyway, that just made me laugh. So that was a line that kind of made me giggle a little bit. But all in all, we are still very much kind of in the setup of this book, and I'm looking forward to a little bit more happening. I'm wondering if this is kind of in line with like, And Then There Were None. I have read a number of books about authors on islands, so I'm hoping that this one will do something a little bit different. But anyway, I'm 25% of the way through. I don't really have a lot to talk about as of yet, but that is the one that I am listening to. So I am down to like that book plus 2 others. So I have Peach Blossom Spring and The Shoemaker's Wife, and I'm trying to decide if I want to try to do one of them physically and then listen to The Ending Writes Itself. I'm not really sure what I want to do. So I might come back and tell you that I've started reading one of these physically, or I might just go ahead and finish off The Ending Writes Itself. That one I have to do on audio. I don't own a physical copy, and the library does not have like a copy on the shelf that I could check out. So it has to be done via audio, but we'll see. I am going to now go ahead and read a couple more essays in Our Women on the Ground though before I get back into The Ending Writes Itself. And once I am about 50% of the way through The Ending Writes Itself, I'll give you some initial thoughts. But at this point, 25% in, I don't think it's anything spectacular as of yet, but we are very clearly still trying to set things up. So that's all I have for you. Another book done. That brings me to 2 books read off of my May TBR and 3 books remaining. So let's get back to reading. Okay, all, quick reading update. We're on like day 6 now. I did not pick up the camera and film it all the last couple of days, but I did finish a book. So I did finish reading The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark. And honestly, I'm only giving this one 3 stars. I felt like this was a very average run-of-the-mill mystery. It gets its inspiration from And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. And it stays pretty true to that source work. I did not really find anything terribly shocking or interesting or unique in this book. It's very straightforward. The characters were pretty unlikable, which is not a make or break thing for me personally, but I just felt like the pacing and where they inserted each character's backstory into the book could have been done better. I felt like the way it was written just didn't really work for me personally. And as I said, this is very run-of-the-mill and average. Nothing spectacular really happened. There were no big moments of shock. There were maybe 1 or 2 things that I kind of was like, oh, okay, that's fine. But I had the person pegged from the beginning regarding who the killer was. So for me, this was just average. It was fine. I felt zero compulsion to pick this book up when I wasn't actively listening to it. And because of that, it took me longer to get through this book than I anticipated it would. So again, it's done. I was able to attend the live show, as you saw a little clip of this morning, because I did finish the book before the live show, but it definitely was not what I was hoping it would be, considering that I have loved a lot of V.E. Schwab's individual work. I have not read anything by Kat Clark. I went back through her list on Goodreads. She has not written anything recently at all. This is very much kind of a, I guess, a look at the publishing industry and thoughts from writers who have been around for a while and their thoughts on the publishing industry. So you can tell they had a few gripes and things that they wanted to get out, which they did in this book. But again, I just felt like it was fine. That's literally my thought. It was fine, and I'm giving it 3 stars. I would not recommend buying this book. I would recommend borrowing it first to decide if it's something you really like, and then buying it if you loved it. There are a lot of things that they could have done better in this book. One of them was just, as I said, the pacing, where they inserted certain parts of the story. It could have been done in a better way. And actually in the live show, Kayla brought up the fact that she was surprised this book did not lean more heavily into like a mixed media aspect, which I agree with, because there are parts of this book where you are reading like text threads on somebody's phone or like something that someone's written on their computer, and that could have been done in a way to make it more visually appealing. Now, I did not read the book physically. I listened to it, so for me it wouldn't have mattered, but it's interesting that this book is being pushed really hard by like the publishers when it's pretty run-of-the-mill and average, and they didn't really seem to put a lot into the actual physical look of the book. Even the cover itself is just kind of plain. So yeah, it's interesting that this one's gotten so much hype because the book itself, in my opinion, does not seem to warrant that. So that's kind of my very lackluster thoughts on The Ending Writes Itself. It's done. I'm glad I gave it a read, but definitely not my favorite. Side note, I picked up this Book Lovers word search while I was at Michael's the other day, and I've been working on a few of these while I listen to audiobooks. So I've done the first 4 of them. This one in particular was kind of fun. It's an excerpt from The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. and the words that you were finding were like the underlined ones, so that was kind of fun. They've got a bunch of different ones. They've got some poetry in here. They've got just some like author lists, so it's got like the Brontes, and it's got like their books by all of the Bronte sisters, so things like that. So I like that. Fun way to do a little bit something while you're also listening to an audiobook. So I have been doing that. I also have started, or I should say continued, Peach Blossom Spring. It's in this stack of books. Let me grab it. Here it is. I am a little bit under halfway through. Now remember, I started this one last year. I got like 100-ish pages into it. Right now I'm currently on page 190, so I have a little over halfway through left. My goal is obviously to finish this before the end of May, but that does mean I am not going to complete this full TBR because there's no way I'm getting to the Shoemaker's Wife before the end of the month. So I've just filmed my June TBR and I've gone ahead and taken a challenge prompt for it. So you'll see that when that video comes out. That one actually is going to go up before this vlog, so I'll link it up above. But yes, this one's just going to have to be rolled over, and hopefully I will be able to fit it in during the month of June or later. We'll see. That one is on my 26 and 2026, so, you know, I'm going to have to read it regardless. But I have started this one, and I've continued along with it. We are following a family, Mei Lin and Ren Shu. They are initially in China in 1938, where they are forced to flee because of the Japanese forces. They resettle in Taiwan, and Ren Shu does really, really well in school and earns a scholarship to Northwestern in the United States. So at the point that I'm at right now, he is in the United States. He's been there for a couple of months at this point. It is November 1963, and I believe we are, we're getting into the day that JFK was murdered, assassinated, I should say. So that's kind of where we are history-wise. Mei Lin, his mother, is still in Taiwan, and Ren Shu, who now goes by the name Henry, is in the United States. So this is kind of a look, I believe, at his life, his childhood, but we're also going to meet his daughter as the book goes on, and his daughter feels very disconnected from her past, her heritage, because her father will not talk about his childhood in China and what led to him coming to the United States. So that's kind of the overarching theme, I guess, for this. So yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing this. It's very well written, really lovely language. The audiobook is well narrated. I like that they are using people of Chinese descent to narrate the characters. I appreciate that a lot. So yeah, so far it's going well. I've only listened to a little bit more of it though since where I stopped last year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing this and getting it done, but this will be the final book for the vlog. So once this is finished, I will go ahead and give you full thoughts and wrap things up. But yeah, spoiler, I went ahead and took the challenge prompt for the Shoemaker's Wife because it's just not going to get done in the next 2 days. Today is Saturday, May 30th, so we have 2 days left. But anyway, that's that. Shout out to a new word search book, and then I will be finishing Peach Blossom Spring, hopefully today, if not tomorrow. All right, all, this is gonna be the last update for the vlog, but I did finish Peach Blossom Spring by Melissa Fu, and while I wasn't sure for the vast majority of this if it was gonna reach a 5-star status, the last 20-ish% or so, like, had me tearing up constantly. It was just very heartfelt. There were a lot of things that needed to be said and some missed opportunities that kind of just wrenched at your heart a little bit. So as I mentioned previously, this one is I guess I'll call it multi-generational, just because we have 3 different POVs. We have Mei Lin, who is the mother to Ren Shu, who later becomes Henry. So we have those two POVs, but then we also get Henry's daughter's POV at the end. So I would definitely say this is multi-generational just because we're getting those 3 separate POVs. And I would say it's when Lily's POV kicks in the most, and actually when Lily makes her appearance in the story, that the emotions, I think, really kind of ramped up a little bit. So Henry spends much of the book almost denying his Chinese heritage, and he refuses to talk about his childhood growing up in China and then Taiwan with his daughter. Lily is, of course, mixed race, so she feels very lost, not really sure where she fits in. She wants to kind of embrace the Chinese part of her, but her father makes that very difficult, and so Lily's just not really sure where she fits in ultimately. There were a lot of discussions about what it was like to be a Chinese immigrant during the 60s and 70s and 80s with the Cold War. Henry's job pertained a little bit to things that were happening in the Cold War, and he basically just wants to keep himself and his family safe. His mother still lives in Taiwan, so he cannot really openly speak out against the Chinese government for fear that Mei Lin would then be retaliated against. So that's kind of where we go with like the latter half of this. So Henry feels a lot of guilt that kind of comes out towards the end, and as I said, those were like the really emotional, impactful parts of this. So I am going to give this 5 stars because the last 20% just really sold the book for me. I really liked the Chinese folktales or mythology, whatever you want to call them, that were kind of interspersed throughout as Mei Lin tells Henry, or Renshu at that point, stories while they're traveling. Whenever he started feeling down, she would kind of reach into her knowledge and kind of share a story that kind of set the tone and kind of would lift his spirits a little bit. And then Lily at the end, she becomes a teacher and she reads, she's a literature teacher, and so she starts reading folktales and things from around the world, including some from China. So that kind of tied that whole thing together as well. It's just really beautifully written, and I particularly liked the historical look at China, Taiwan, and kind of where it kind of told me a little bit more than what I already knew about the fight between Taiwan and China and kind of why China refuses to give up Taiwan as like one of its properties or whatever, and the Taiwanese fight for independence. So it's just an interesting look at all of that. Melissa Fu is writing in Own Voices. I believe, yeah, she is of Chinese descent. So that's kind of, you know, Own Voices. But yes, I just really liked the way this was written. If you like historical fiction, I would highly recommend it. I think it was really phenomenally done. So this does tick off the last book for this vlog. As I mentioned, I did not get to The Shoemaker's Wife. I'm going to kind of make that my bedtime reading, I think, over the course of the next few weeks so that I can attempt to get that one read at least in the first part of June, but we'll see how that goes. But anyway, this one is done, 5 stars, kind of a nice high note to end this vlog on. And I am also, side note, still working my way through Our Women on the Ground. So at this point, I am on page 80, so I did not get nearly as much of this read over the course of the week as I was hoping. But my goal is to have this done by the end of the current week that we are just now starting. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's going to do it for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me as I attempted and failed to read my entire May TBR in 1 week. But nonetheless, I feel like we still did a good amount of reading. I did pull that challenge prompt, as I've already mentioned in the video, so I'll let you know how that's going maybe in an upcoming vlog. So anyway, that's gonna do it. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. If you made it to the end of the video and would like to leave an emoji to show you were here, you can leave a flower emoji in honor of my favorite book from this week of reading, Peach Blossom Spring. And I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.